on our LinkedIn feed that she had a Wisconsin probate with 5 heirs, and it cost about $3,500. She foreclosed at the time, but the process took about 18 months, and the holding cost killed her.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Now you understand that why when I tell you probate's quick and it can be a faster process, it's more worth it in markets where you can do it faster.
Yeah.
So do your homework.
Hopefully, Cindy, you're able to, maybe you didn't try the angle of reaching out to heirs yourself and see if you can buy it. But if you did, please feel free to comment and let us know, because that's definitely a great angle if it's available. If you're stuck in that probate circle of what you got to do, and you can't sell a loan, I can imagine the fact that not only the cost of the probate, but the holding cost of finding the heirs, serving them, making sure the process is done. But I'm sure COVID didn't help at all there. So
interesting.
It sounds like state to state's a big difference. Is there a way for us to find out? Is there a kind of national guide to probate? Because foreclosure, there is the Fannie Mae special list of costs that we pulled out. Is there any way of doing it nationally to find out what the rules are from state to state that you're aware of?
No, but that's very interesting. You brought that up. I can almost imagine kind of like an overview of what probate's like in other states, but I not that I've seen. I think it's just a matter of really connecting with attorneys and probate and what's going on in their states locally. Because I've heard things in South Carolina it's another really, really good market there. But the creditor period there's 8 months, as opposed in Florida is 3 months. And then you have
break down what you just said again, because I see some comments asking what that meant. Say that again. What's 8 months?
So the creditor period, when creditors can make claims when they do the newspaper publication in a probate. I think in South Carolina, I think it's 8 months, if I'm not mistaken. But in Florida, it's 3 months. So, they get creditors get 3 months. Once that newspaper's running, they get 3 months to make their claim, or they could be forever barred from making a claim. So
that's a huge thing, right? Because different states time frame. I got to look it up and see if we can figure that out, because if one state's 12 months, probably Chicago, right? It's 12 months to find things out. It may not be worth it to buy in that state when it's a deceased borrower if probate, that time period of them responding is 12 months. That's ridiculous. That's a long time to hold, pay property taxes, corporate advances, insurance.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing is that when it comes to loans, though, there's security interests. So they're not going away. Right. Mm-hmm. If that's a security interest on that property, that's, at least in Florida, that thing's going to stick even 5 years, even for 4 years, even after that person died. Right. So that's not going away. They can't sell that property without satisfying that mortgage. So even if there is a creditor period, when it comes to security interest, though, that's where having those documents recorded plays a big role. That's why mortgage companies have that, right? Or if it's a judgment lien, the judgment liens get recorded, right? So that they try to sell, even if it's been more than 2 years. Because, fun fact, David, in Florida, creditors, Visa, MasterCard, Home Depot, Comcast, Phillips and Cohen's clients, all these people that have claims have 2 years to make claims.
Wow.
Or forever they're out, right? But there's exceptions to federal tax liens, mortgage security interest, major improvements to the property. What's a major improvement? A security interest and or claim of lien, right? See, there's different ways that people secure their interest in those properties.
Let me make sure I'm clear. I understand what you said before. The lender time period is that if the lender puts out the fact that we're looking for heirs in Florida, and that heir shows up 4 months later, they don't have any room to move forward, correct? Or is that different from my understanding?
Other way around. So it's in the probate. It's when the heirs are opening up the probate, and the heirs are now initiating the probate process. And then, when they have to do the newspaper and put any creditors on notice, like MasterCard and Visa, any unknown creditors, there's known and unknown. Right. That's the period of
Gotcha.
time to allow David and Nathan on an
Yeah.
unsecured debt to come forward and make a claim, or you could be out.
Is there any,
Hmm.
the way I'm talking, there's anything out there that says you have 30 days to come forward if you're an heir possibly? What is the time frame in Florida where we post it out there? Can they ever show up 5 months later and say, hey,
Or 5 years later or something weird.
yeah,
Yeah, you're what you're talking about is on the foreclosure side when you're doing due diligence to try to find those heirs.
yeah,
It's possible. I remember what the exact time frame is, but it's possible, especially if they were out there and everybody knew that they existed. Maybe they can unwind it in some way, but it may be too late by then. I
Okay.
think it just depends on timing and facts and circumstances about how they could have been found or what resources were out there to find them. But what you want to do, your biggest takeaway is there's two worlds, right? There's that foreclosure world, which is the lender's diligence in trying to find heirs to move forward on a foreclosure. Then there's the probate world, where probate is just going through the process of transferring what they had to the heirs. So now that they can sell it, convey it, do what they want with it, but now they got title to the property. And in that probate, if there's, let's just say date of death is less than 2 years and there's known creditors, we're doing formal notice to those known creditors and they get 30 days to respond or they're out.
gotcha.
So our brains are on different levels, but you can kind of see that there's kind of similarities to both worlds on searching, doing due diligence, whether it's for heirs on the foreclosure side or creditors, but moving the process forward on probate. And it's a lot easier than people think in the probate world.
Interesting. And before we got on the call here, we were talking about it's just been really busy for you. Just the last couple of months, it's just exploded. And you're saying you see that continuing.
Yeah, 100%. So, last September, October, well, let me just first say today officially marks 1 year I've been on my own, having left the firm.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Nice.
Today is the
Very
first
good.
day of a brand new year 2, right? And when I had first left, it was busy. It was, it went through its waves. But then sometime in September, October last year, I had like 15 calls in like 2 days. And then November picked up too. December got quiet. January got quiet. But in the last 2 months, it has exploded.
Wow.
I have had probably about 8 to 10 meetings per day with probates, possible probates, quiet titles, crazy situations. It has definitely, the market's only getting crazier. I'm also really good about, how I'm out there and doing things. So maybe that's helping too. But at the same time, I'm noticing there's a lot of probates happening. There's a lot of different things going on. And like we were talking about, I think this is only beginning with the amount of people that moved into Florida in the last 2 years. I think there's going to be, I talk about stats on my PowerPoints and how, a third of the market by 2037 is going to be like baby boomer probate properties all over the place. Well, those were 2019 stats.
Wow.
What does 2022, 2023 stats look like? Is it going to be like, 40, 45%?
Yeah.
I don't know. So we're heading into an interesting time in Florida when it comes to people buying properties, people moving here. They're from their other states. They never had to go through this before. It's going to be new experiences. It's going to be a different time. I think a lot of things are going to shift a lot.
So a lot of room for opportunity. So that's interesting. And just, the more the more that you're educated, the more you can start to see some of these opportunities coming up. So that's pretty fantastic.
Well, yeah, people buying land and now building on it instead of buying existing structures.
Right.
So a lot of developers and builders maybe just going after land now, because if they know they have a construction company, they don't need to buy existing and they can actually save a lot on the cost and the premium by building it themselves.
Yeah. Huh. That's fascinating. Great topic to talk about.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'm thinking about why is probate jumping up right now? What is happening? Is the courts opening up more? Is it people just doing more things? Or people hiding dead bodies for a couple of years? Like,
The prices are at an all-time high, and I think that finally the heirs that have been paying the taxes for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, they've realized, number one, they're done. Number two, if they sell it now before interest rates go up and inventory increases, they're going to make a ton of money off that property, or way more. There's more people that are wanting to buy Florida property than ever. So I think the motivation is there more. But now because of that, they thought, oh, we've been doing this 10 years. We're good. We're good. It's like, no, you're not good. You still got to go through this probate process because nobody took care of it beforehand. So all these sitting properties that have never come to the surface that need these probates are coming there because now they're motivated to sell and didn't realize we got to go through it now.
yeah. So we did a question. It was, would you say not to worry about buying notes with heirs? And how does someone find a good lawyer to help with the probate process in that state of the asset? I presume you're working with an attorney in that state that the property is located. How does someone go about finding an attorney, the probate attorney for that state?
Yeah, as it relates to the notes and whether good purchasing ones with deceased, I think that all depends on your strategy. I think that depends on your, because again, the way I'm seeing it from that angle is the opportunity to try to buy that property as opposed to maybe getting in on the debt, because again, it doesn't get paid. You have no recourse against those heirs, at least in Florida. Maybe it's different in another state, but if they're not on the note, no recourse against the heirs. Yeah. So, how are you going to collect in the event that you're not able to get your money back?
And then for those who are not sure what we're talking about recourse, if an asset gets sold at the auction and you didn't get fully collected on your balance alone, and there's still money owed to you, you can file a judgment against whoever the borrower is or the person on the judgment on it, and you put a judgment on them. Typically, if a person has no money, they're kind of judgment proof, right? So they're kind of stuck. So as much as we all talk about it, not many people do it because there's lack of funding. That person's foreclosed on because they can't afford anything. So usually judgment doesn't really help. But yes, you could definitely file deficiencies on somebody who may have passed away and gave it to their rich brother who now owns this property and gets foreclosed on. You can go after it and you put a judgment on them.
I've never done that. Have you ever done that?
Nope.
Yeah.
No, we're going to do it in North Carolina, and I think we filed something wrong, I think, a while back. Just haven't.
Yeah, I've used it as leverage to kind of incentivize a borrower to cooperate with foreclosure, but that's the only time I've ever used it. That's not what I'm after. That's not what I based my purchase on. So it's not something I'd look at.
Yeah, cool. Well, Al, before I let you go, I know Nathan, we were discussing before the call, so we kind of know a little bit of your answer here. But go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, what do you see going forward here? Like we were talking a little bit about before about foreclosure tidal waves coming in and that kind of thing. What's from your perspective, what do you see coming up? Where is the market heading?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to find different angles to distress properties instead of, and going more direct to seller than ever. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say. We don't know when the Fed's going to raise the rates and how that's going to affect everything. We don't know what the food chain supply is going to look like and how gas prices rising are going to affect things. I mean, if I had a guess, it's going to have people spending less. Mm-hmm. Meaning, maybe more inventory and maybe they're going to have to shift their strategies to pay their loans instead of traveling around so much. And remember, when gas prices go up, airline prices go up. So are people going to be traveling more?
I waited a week to buy my tickets we're flying out, and it went from $200 to $700, and I'm like, oof. holy, and just because I was busy. And I looked today, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, do I just wait another week and hopefully it goes back down? Holy God.
That's gonna make a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. I
By
think
the
it's
way,
gonna,
we're speaking at we'll be speaking in Vegas together, me and Nathan. So I was buying my tickets last week, got distracted. Yeah, flying from Philly to Vegas for May, and I was shocked at the price when I'm like, I'm gonna wait a few days because it can't get much worse. I mean, can it?
Right. I don't know.
you never know. And actually that may be a
in.
steal. 700 may be a steal
Yeah.
right now. That's kind of like how hedge funds are treating properties in Florida. They're like, we'll pay 1,000, right? But they're paying 1,000 because they know the top is 2,000. I mean, so there's so many things that are happening right now in the Florida market. And I think I've just noticed a lot of areas that used to be, they were hot. Now they're extremely hot, and people are moving to, or trying to target areas that are going to be the next place, the next thing. And they want to get more involved in probate. They want to get more involved in figuring out these creative strategies around it, because the ones that are creative and the weird are the ones that people don't want to touch.
Yeah. We look for hairy loans.
Yeah, we live on those to make sure that, like this, right? Deceased loan is often something people avoid out of lack of knowledge, lack of experience. But I am curious about, looking up these kind of things and seeing when timeframes are, because that makes a big deal. Obviously, Texas is a golden state for everyone. I think we all should follow their rules. But on the flip side, probate can be a problem. It could be a hassle, could be an issue, or it could be absolutely nothing.
Or it could be an opportunity, and
exactly,
different ways.
That's the thing, is it could be an opportunity if you find all of the heirs, you get all the heirs, and they want to, be on board with selling the property, or maybe be on board with living in the property, but agreeing to new terms, right? Mm-hmm. So, or agreeing to existing terms of a loan. It just depends on what it is. But, my world, I'm not, in the foreclosure world as much as you all are, but in the probate world, people are selling properties. There's equity in the deals. I've rarely seen short sales. Especially lately, I've rarely seen any type of short sale situation. So, just there's tons of opportunities out there with probate.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Well, Al, awesome information. A topic that we've never even touched upon. And when Nathan approached me last month about it, I was happy, excitement, because it's something I've always avoided due to lack of, even in conferences, probate's not spoken about. It's just something that's kind of, you'll talk to your attorney about it, and it's just not spoken about for whatever reason. And reverse mortgages too, right? So I appreciate you coming on, spend the time with us, sharing your knowledge, your experience, and you're who you are. But feel free to, can anyone reach out to you? Is there a website you can give out, or email address?
Yeah. So best way, you can look me up, www.alnicoletti.com. And on my website, I have my email address and my phone number. So 904-999-0053, or my email address, al@alnicoletti.com. And the best way too is, if you're watching right now, I'm on Instagram at Attorney Nicoletti. Follow me on Instagram. I drop content all the time. Find me on YouTube under Al Nicoletti. Hit the subscribe button, the bell, when I get videos that are posting all the time. And Facebook, that's a big one. And my show, The Al Nicoletti Show, which is on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. I go live Wednesdays, 8 p.m. and I love it.
Holy God.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy, David.
Oh, the energy is awesome, right? I feel like this week I've been drowning, so it's been good to see someone with some energy and bring it back. So we're going to disconnect from the live fans. We're going to recap everything else. Guys, I appreciate you jumping on here. This will be back on YouTube. Do all subscribe, like button thingies you just said. And make sure you take it. It will be on the podcast as well. So if you aren't able to watch the video, you'll find YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, MyGram, whatever it is out there. So it's cool. So everyone have a good weekend. Hopefully everyone stays warm. And everything goes fine from there.
All right.
Enjoy, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.